Hi everyone. In this second video, we'll see features of Make that really make it a very powerful tool. In the previous video, we saw a Makefile with only one target, but now we'll add several targets. We'll also see how to specify lists of targets so that we don't need to use the command line for listing the files that we want to build. So let's start by creating a list of our input files, and actually it's here. I already listed them. So these are all of the books in the data subdirectory. Now we're interested in producing the following target files. We want frequency lists of all of these books, and those were supposed to be placed in the results directory. And they were supposed to be called, for example, lifeofb.frec.txt. So let's start by creating a list of all of the frequency files that we need. And we'll use the following syntax. So frec lists So I'll explain this now. How do you get from a book name like Life of B to the frequency file lifeofb.frec.txt, which resides in the results directory? Well, you first need to append this path results in front of the book name, and then append this suffix .frec.txt after the book name. And then this percentage sign will go through all of the names in this list and see to it that you get the corresponding frequency file in the frec lists. Now there's a special target in a Makefile called all. And it specifies all of the results that we want Make to build. So let's add the target all, colon, and then $frec lists. So now we're saying we want Make to build all of these frec lists. Okay, so now we've specified what we want Make to build, but we haven't really told it how to build these files. So how do you do it? Well, let's specify a target. So we want to create a .frec.txt list. And it should be in the results subdirectory. And to create this list, we need the corresponding nomd.txt files from the data subdirectory. And how did we create the frequency list? Well, we use this script freclist.sh. And we feed in the input file and then the output file. Now, this is all we need. So let's save and exit nano. And when we now run make all, it's going to create all of these frec lists for us. And let's ls the results directory. There they are. Now, Make is quite clever. It'll figure out that it needs to first create a nomd file for the original book file, and then it can use that file to create the frec.txt file. And we didn't need to tell it how to do that. It just looks at the different dependencies between the targets and figures out what it needs to build and the order to build all of these files. And this saves a lot of work for us. Now we had a second set of targets that we were interested in, namely the sentence per line corpora. So let's edit our Makefile to handle those as well. So let's open it. And let's add the names of these files. So scented books equals $. So just as in the case of the frec list, we need to append this results directory in front of the book name, and then this suffix .send.txt. And then we need a target for this and a recipe. So to create results, percentage send.txt, you need the file data.nomd.txt. And you just run the script send per line.sh from the srcs directory and give the input and output file. Okay, so let's save this too and run make again. And it won't do anything because we didn't add our sent it books to the all target. So let's do that. And now they're in the all target, and let's run make all again. And we can see that it now builds us these files. And if we look at the results directory, we now have both the sent and frec file of vide, for instance. Great. Now let's go back to nano again. There are some special targets that people often include in the make file. We already saw all, but there's another one called clean. And this one is used to remove all the files that make generates. It's convenient in many cases. For example, if you just want to move your project to another computer over the internet, you can run clean to make it smaller by removing the generated files, and then just regenerate them again on the new computer. If you generate a lot of different outputs, this can actually make a big difference in size. And another important application is when you're working in a remote repository. But we'll hear more about that next week when we talk about Git. Our clean target is going to be pretty simple. And we just remove everything from the results directory. And we also remove the no MD files. From the data directory. I'm adding this -f option parameter for the remove command to prevent remove from asking about whether we want to remove files or not. Now let's save and run this. So make clean. And if we check at the results directory now, we can see that it's empty. And in the data directory, we don't have any of these no MD files anymore. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about how make actually decides what to build. So I can run make all now. And make will build all frec and send file for me. Now, if I run make results life of b frec.txt, make will tell me that the file is up to date and nothing needs to be done. And up to date means that it was created after anyone touched the input file, which is life of b.txt. So make assumes that if nobody edited the input file life of b.txt after life of b.frec.txt was created, then we don't need to update the frequency file, because it would just be identical to the current frequency file, since nothing has changed in the input. Of course, there's a small leap here, because we actually create life of b.frec.txt from the nomd file, but make assumes that this file would also, again, be the same as it was before. Now, the way that make figures out if a file has been changed is using timestamps. So let's do an ls.-l of data. And the same for results. We see that the timestamp of life of b.txt changed on the 6th of November at 5:40. And we can see that life of b.rec.txt was actually changed after that. So it was changed at 6:50 on the 26th of November. Now it's impossible to edit a file under normal circumstances without changing the timestamp. So we can actually be quite confident that the input file has not been edited after the frec file was created, just by looking at these timestamps. Now I can change the timestamp of the original txt file by using the command touch. So touch data life of b.txt. And if I run the ls-l in data again, I can see that the timestamp for life of b is now 6:52. So this is now later than these life of b.rec.txt was created. So now make will assume that the life of b.txt file has changed and it will have to recreate. These life of b.frec and send.txt. So let's try it. Yes, it recreated these files. But note that it doesn't remake any of the other frec or send files, because the input files did not have timestamps that would have been later in time than the frec and send files. Finally, I just want to note that the make removes the no-md files after making the frec and send files. And this is because we didn't list them in our all target. So make assumes that we are not interested in keeping those intermediate files around. If we'll list them in the all target, the files will not be removed.